All right, good morning. Good morning. What's going on, everybody? Monday, July 21st, 8 a.m. on the dot. Where the hell am I? The hell's going on here? It's my studio. Appreciate you guys tuning in. We got a packed show today. We got a fun show today, too. We got a lot going on today. I'm looking forward to crank out a solid hour with everybody here and put some good content, get some good news over the weekend that certainly is going to help from a content perspective for the show. So looking forward to that. Real quick, where am I at? So I'm out here I'm out in Vegas for a couple of days. So yeah, just taking a little time, doing a little Vegas action here. Not exactly the Vegas guy. I don't think people look at me and say, "Oh, Vegas. Oh, Slee must be there." But I'm out here for a couple of days, just enjoying a little bit of summertime, if you guys want to call it. Got a lot to get into. Let's get in the show. So I'm doing the show from obviously from the hotel room. Shout out to Caesars, by the way, and Harris, who hooked me up with Caesars. I got my contact over at Harris in San Diego. She hooked me up with some of the folks at Caesars, so I'm staying here at Caesars for a couple of days. So shout out to them for hooking it up. Making me feel welcome, making me feel at home here. Okay, we got a pack show. Let me give everyone a quick rundown what we got going on. I did not know that did not know over the weekend we are going to actually have some real news, some real news for the Lakers that I actually think will be impactful for the Lakers this upcoming season. So we'll spend a little time talking about Marcus Smart signing with the Lakers, what that move means. Obviously, that went down on a Saturday. It was Saturday. What's that? Probably around 2, 3 o'clock, something like that, is when that move goes down. Lakers sign Marcus Smart, gets bought out by the Washington Wizards. Last night, there was kind of the trickle effect of it. We knew that Lakers had to make some space. They had to figure out from a roster spot perspective. They were able to do that. Jordan Goodwin, Shake Milton out with the Los Angeles Lakers. So I guess you can, talk about the after effects of, in order to get Marcus Smart, what you had to give up. And certainly the Lakers had to clear some roster spots. The importance of Luka recruiting. Luka was recruiting. Like straight up, Luka Doncic was recruiting and trying to make it happen to bring Marcus Smart in. That was part of the reporting as well. I think that tells a lot. I think the importance of Luka recruiting, I want to spend some time on that, so we'll do that as well. Do got a guest this morning. Ryan Hollins is going to join the show. Many who know Ryan Hollins was on TV for a long time, 10-year veteran in the NBA. Now he's doing some Rockets TV. I want him on for a couple of reasons. Number one, I just want to talk about the Western Conference. I want to talk about the top 3 teams out there in the West. Where do the Lakers slot? What does he think of Deandre Ayton, somebody that was a big in the NBA? What kind of message would you have for Deandre Ayton if you're Ryan Hollins? So Hollins is going to hop on the show. Looking forward to having him on about, let's call it 10, 15 minutes or so. He'll come on. Got a couple NBA stories, some NBA rumors, and then we'll do a weekend recap. Then we'll get the hell out of here, and we'll let everybody enjoy the rest of their day. All right, let's take a look at a couple of the comments here. Get the show started, and then we will go. Goodwin, no good. I think that means the fact that Jordan Goodwin's not on the Lakers anymore. I think that's what you mean by that. Let's get a look at a couple more of these here. Good morning, Alan, and everyone. Let's get another one. Vegas, baby. I mean, I've been up all night. I mean, I don't sleep. If I'm in Vegas, forget about it. You guys know that. This is the first time I put a shirt on in the last 48 hours. I just walk around this place, drink after drink. Vegas is, not gonna lie to you guys, I haven't been like actually just soaked in Vegas in a while. Things have changed out here a little bit. Not exactly what I thought they were back in the day. It's a little bit different. All right, let's get a couple more of these comments in here. We're going to start. What do we got here from Ocean Breeze? Fail is first attempt in learning. End is effort never dies. Hope is hold on. Pain ends. Win is work. Inspire, never quit. Love is let obstacles vanish every day. Ocean Breeze, you're the man. Thank you for always dropping in some of those quotes. Okay, let's get started here. Vegas, huh? It's a little expensive out here. Not gonna lie. Let's just say probably don't want to grab a water from the mini bar. Don't think that's a good idea. Probably want to stay away from that for a little bit. I'm not. You run across the street maybe to CVS or something like that. It's it's a little expensive. A little expensive. All right. Marcus Smart signs with the Lakers. Let's just spend a quick second on this. It's so funny. I did the show on Friday, if you guys remember, and I spent time on Marcus Smart talking about, and it wasn't even my idea. It was just I had enough comments and I had enough listeners that were there that were like, "Hey Al, what do you think of Marcus Smart?" Hearing this name a lot, and I was like, "All right, let me give." I don't know if it's going to happen. I don't know if he's going to eventually get bought out, even though there were some rumors that it could happen. And when we were talking about it on Friday, I had a couple of points. One of my points was, you know, the dude can play. The problem is he hasn't been available for a couple of years. But if you tell me about the Marcus Smart that was back in Boston, which, by the way, wasn't that long ago, it was 2022, 2023 that he ended up winning the Defensive Player of the Year award. That's nothing. 2022, 2023, that's just a couple years ago. The problem is in his time with Memphis and Washington, obviously short time of both of those stops, he just hasn't been available. He hasn't been healthy. But if healthy, Marcus Smart could be a really, really key player to this upcoming season. And I don't need to get into, I put out a video. I went live for about maybe 45 minutes on Saturday. So I'm not going to try to just do the exact same video that I did on Saturday. But I think my key takeaways were this. My key takeaways, like, kind of a, absolute no-brainer. You're going to pay him $5 and change. I think $11 million over 2 years. He's going to be in a, basically you could say a walk year, as in he plays well. He will not opt into that second year of his contract, and he's going to go walk away and try to go get paid somewhere else. He wants to re-show his value in the league, and the Lakers need a player like Marcus Smart. I mean, I as much as you could watch different players around the league, and maybe they're not on your team, or maybe you're not rooting from whatever the case is, but you can watch from afar and just say, yeah, I like the way that player, I like the way he plays. I like his style. I like his mentality. I like that all he cares about is winning. Marcus Smart fits that fold. I think that there's a lot of things that you could take away from Marcus Smart's game, and you could speak a lot of positivity about what he could potentially bring for the Lakers. Now, will he be healthy? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Is he still the same type of player he was a couple years ago? I'd like to think so. He's only 31 years old, so it's not like you're signing a guy that's 35 or 36. So I think there's a lot of upside to Marcus Smart. You really got no risk. One of the other things that I was emphasizing too on Saturday's show, I kept mentioning that if you look at Deandre Ayton and you look at Marcus Smart, Lakers were able to really, really establish two big-time needs that they had, and they didn't have to give up any assets to go get him. They still haven't made a trade yet. A little bit later in the show, I'll talk about what's next. What do the Lakers do from here? What are some of their options? So I think we still have some opportunity for the Lakers. I just think the main thing that we can walk away from today is you needed a center desperately. You went out and got a 26-year-old that's going to be in a contract year and really, really going to do everything he can to prove to the league that he still has a tremendous amount of value. You needed a on-ball defender. You needed just some more grit, another dog. You went out and got a vet in the league that's been in the league for over 10 years, that's got a tremendous amount of playoff experience in Marcus Smart. And clearly for the Lakers, that's a need that the Lakers had. You didn't have to go trade anything for him. You got him again at unbelievable value at $5+ a year. Between Deandre Ayton and Marcus Smart, the Lakers are spending less than $14 million to go get two players that, if they were in the open market, would be worth a lot more. Or if you just take their contracts valued before their buyout, you got one guy that's $35 million. You got another guy that was closer to $20 million. You're talking about $55 million that basically you're paying $14 million for. I'm not telling you Ayton today is going to go get $35 million, and I'm not telling you that Marcus Smart's going to go get 20. I don't know what they would get today. I just know that their current contract, they're definitely not going to get. You're definitely going to have to pay him more than $8 million. You have to pay him more than $5.5. Okay, so with all this, you get Marcus Smart that comes in, no risk, only upside. I'm a big fan of the addition. Well, you got to make space for him. And the Lakers yesterday had to make space, so I'm sure you guys saw a lot of this yesterday, some different tweets that were out there. I got a couple that I'm going to read here real quick. By the way, breaking news as well. Looks like Chris Paul is going to go to the Clippers, so I'll chime into that one in just a second, but let's not worry too much about that. The Los Angeles Lakers, this is from Shams Charania yesterday. Let's share this. Let's Let's get you guys in the mix here. We can look at this together, and then we'll also look at the news. We'll look at the news on Chris Paul in just a second as well. Okay, I'm gonna pop this up. Give me 2 seconds. I just want to pop it up properly here and make sure that it's on the screen. But I'm gonna read a couple things. Number one, how the Lakers had to kind of take some action yesterday, obviously, in order to make space for Marcus Smart. And I'm going to read it off Shams. Shams had his tweet here that we can look at. Okay. So I'm a fan of Jordan Goodwin. I am. I want everybody to know, and I think a lot of people agree with this as well. I'm a fan of his game. I really was. I loved his hustle. He kind of reminds me a little bit of a Marcus Smart, that kind of style, right? I'm not telling you that he's perfect. I'm not telling you that, he's a little bit bigger than Marcus Smart, but bigger as in taller. I don't think probably as wide as Marcus Smart, but this was part of the moves that they had to do. Los Angeles Lakers have waived guard Jordan Goodwin. Sources tell ESPN Goodwin emerged as a key rotation piece for J.J. Redick late last season, playing 29 games and 4 playoff contests. Goodwin and Shake Milton were released to clear space for the arrival of Marcus Smart. Shake Milton never panned out. Not that I really, wasn't 100% sure if he was going to. Lakers have waived Shake Milton. Milton's $3 million contract for next season would have become fully guaranteed today. Lakers are clearing space for signing Marcus Smart. So we know that. So we'll leave that alone. By the way, the news that I was talking about in regards to Chris Paul, that's right here. So I'll get to that in just a second. We'll do that a little bit later in the show. But the Lakers had to obviously make some space. They made the space. And I'm a fan of what Jordan Goodwin brought to the table. Shake Milton, kind of is what it is. This is nothing you could do here. I mean, this is the cost of doing business. So I saw a lot of people out there were putting positive things about Jordan Goodwin, as they should. The dude is a hustler. The dude was definitely trying to earn his spot in a rotation. I personally thought the Lakers made a mistake in that series against Minnesota of not using him more. Would that have changed the series? No, probably not. But I mean, one of the things that we walked away from that series was they did something that has never been done in the history of the NBA, at least in the playoffs. They didn't make a sub in the second half. You want to give Goodwin a couple of minutes, give Hayes a couple of minutes. Certainly, the Lakers had their own issues, but I was a fan of what he brought to the table. I liked his mentality. I liked his fight. I liked his grit. This is just the cost of doing business, and unfortunately for Jordan Goodwin, he's not going to be a part of the team. So those were obviously the 2 things that went on, 3 things you can call it, that went on over the weekend. It's kind of helping shape what the Lakers are right now. Marcus Smart gone, or Marcus Smart comes in, Jordan Goodwin and Shake Milton out for the Lakers, and that's just like I said, the cost of doing business and really kind of what happens in regards to where the Lakers are sitting today. Let's see what we got here. Jordan Goodwin played 29 games. Stop. You stop. I liked him. I don't really. I'm not sitting here trying to tell you that he was the greatest player of all time. But what I'm trying to tell you is that I thought he had some value, and I think he's going to make a mark somewhere in the league. He's going to end up on some team. Let's get some more here. Salute to you. Couple people talking about CP3. Yeah, I'm. It's funny when Chris Paul had come up. We'll shift here real quick. Do this just because it just broke. We'll shift real quick on some of this and go from there. When CP3 there was a time where Chris Paul, some rumors that, okay, he wants to come back to LA. And then I would get some people that would be in the chat and be like, hey, what do you think? Chris Paul, the Lakers? I'm like, I'm good. Thank you. I think this deal, listen, I'm not even sitting here telling you that it's a bad deal for the Clippers. I'm just telling you that, I don't know, really just doesn't do anything for me. For the Clippers and for that team, they now got just a little bit older. They got a ton of vets. I'll read here what Shams put out there since this just broke out. 12-time All-Star Chris Paul has agreed to a deal with the Clippers. By the way, nobody was surprised by this at all. He put some names here, some agents. Paul had multiple suitors, but chose the contending Clippers and their shared history in LA for his likely final 21st NBA season. He wanted to be closer to family, so that's why Chris Paul was going to be in LA, was the idea and the concept of why he was going to end up back with the Clippers. So that's where Chris Paul goes. So you still got a lot of action kind of going on in the NBA. Of course, nothing earth-shattering. I'm not trying to, tell everybody here that these are blockbuster moves. I don't think the Marcus Smart is a blockbuster move, but I think it's a good move. The CP3 thing, honestly, what that means for the Clippers, we'll have to wait and see. But they continue to add depth to their team, and they've put themselves at least in a position where they'll be in the mix this upcoming year. Definitely will be in the mix, no question about that. Okay, let me read a couple of these comments here. And then we're going to get Ryan Hollins on the show as well. Paul Clippers, yes, they are very old. But I don't think they care. I think for them, it's going to be about being healthy in the playoffs, and that obviously is going to be a big question. There's no guarantee that that's going to happen, and that's going to be the biggest question for them. All right, enough of my talking. That's it. You guys don't want to hear me talk anymore. We got Ryan Hollins waiting, then you go directly to Ryan Hollins, okay? Ryan Hollins is ready to go. We go directly to Ryan Hollins. What's up, Ryan?
What's up, brother?
How are you?
Good.
I appreciate you, man. Appreciate you coming on the show, doing what it's funny that the timing of it. There's so many good. Here we are, July 21st, and there's so many good NBA topics still. Still kind of, still a lot of meat left on the bones. Now, the next couple of weeks, I'm just going to assume everything has settled with a lot of these teams. Summer League just ended yesterday. I'm going to start off with this one just because the news just broke. I don't know if you saw that Chris Paul is signing with the Clippers. So that was just announced just a couple of minutes ago or so. You are as involved as you can possibly be around the NBA and the Western Conference right now. What do you make of what the Clippers have done this offseason? And obviously adding Bradley Beal to the mix. And then we could kind of start talking about some of the rest of the scope of the Western Conference. What do you make of what the Clippers have done?
I'm really intrigued with what they're going to be able to do defensively. Keeping Zubac, bringing in Lopez and Collins, they're really sure up a front line. And I thought the difference with that group for longevity concerns, I thought Ivica Zubac playing all-star level basketball was the difference when they really got rolling. And now you really ensure that by bringing in Collins, who's a rim threat, offensive rebounder, active body, and Lopez, who can play with Collins intriguingly and stretch the floor and block shots. He's probably been arguably the best big in our game, probably the last 7-8 years at doing that or so since he started shooting threes. He really kind of changed the game. He's a real intriguing matchup, really sought after. And I think for those older guys, Chris Paul and James and those guys, the high IQ guards like playing with bigs. So I think defensively, I'm intrigued to see how that winds up with the Clippers being able to use their size and again, possibly even for Kawhi Leonard saying like, hey, you may not have the foot speed on the perimeter. This will help you get through the season. We can slow things down. We're bigger. We may not be looking to run, but we can really it makes some waves. And I know how good Ty is on the defensive end.
What do you make of Beal, the fit with Beal?
I think Brad has a lot of gas in the tank. I think he steps into an ideal situation where I would let him be the sixth man, let him be free to come in and shoot. And you'd have to assume Kawhi's going to miss his share of games, and there's going to be more than enough opportunity there. And it was enough to make them feel comfortable to move Norman Powell. So I thought that was intriguing there. And Brad I played with Brad. He has a lot of gas left in the tank. There's no questions there. But the situation now is different than him in Phoenix, where they're not asking him to be a point guard. They're asking him to score the basketball. Bradley Beal can score the basketball. So I think there's a lot of variables there, but they're right in the thick of things. There's more questions than answers still, but they're right in the thick of things.
It's funny. You and I were texting a couple days ago, and I was trying to see what your schedule looked like for this week. So we made it happen today. This was before we knew that Marcus Smart was going to find his way onto the Lakers. Um, for as long as you've been in the league and watching the NBA, there's certain. I was mentioning this. I could watch from afar, and I'm going to use obviously Marcus Smart. I'm going to use my example of when he was in Boston. Didn't matter whether I liked the Celtics or I didn't like the Celtics. I like watching players like that. They're not going to be the focal point of your offense. They're going to find other ways to impact the game. Their defensive presence and mindset, even for you, someone like you, a 10-year vet in the league, not only did at times you had to play that role, but there's other times where you're playing with guys that are kind of the epitome of that role. I'm not sure what Marcus Smart the Lakers are going to get. I think he's just got to be healthy and available, and I feel like there's no reason why he can't be a really impactful player for the Lakers. I mean, hell, it was 2023 that he won Defensive Player of the or was in the running on from that perspective, and eventually winning that award. My question for you is, what kind of player is Marcus Smart, and what can he potentially be for the Lakers this upcoming season?
Marcus is a winner. He defends. He knows how to blow up a game plan. He brings a lot of energy night in and night out. He's a guy that can, in moments, can step up and score the basketball. But for the most part, he's more comfortable playing a role at the end of the day. And I think you hit it right on the head. The question is health there, but as far as being physical, being aggressive, that's a need that the Lakers had, and a big need. And here's the thing: when they lost Finney Smith, Finney's consistent. Finney's going to give you, just about 82 games. Defense, shooting.
Hmm.
He's gonna play his role. But I think the challenge, uh, Smart potentially could play that role into a higher degree. But the challenge with Marcus Smart again, is he going to be healthy? Does he have the same energy to exert?
Yeah,
So yeah, that's
it's
that's it.
no, it's funny, Ryan, because when you say you mention it, and I was kind of look at certain players, and I think what you said, Lakers had a need for that player, and I think that's obviously what they've been trying to address this offseason is making sure, and they almost got to do it at they got to be creative, they got to do it at a budget just based off of their situation and predicament. They end up with Ayton, they end up with Marcus Smart. And I got a couple questions for you on the Deandre Ayton front. How surprised were you DFS ends up with the Houston Rockets? I mean, did you of all the? It just felt like Dorian Finney-Smith Lakers traded for him. They gave up some second rounders for him. Obviously, D'Lo was a part of that move. He's friends with Luka Doncic. What were you surprised when the Rockets all of a sudden there's a deal made and he makes a move to go to Houston?
Clint and Finney Smith were on my kind of like wish list of players in free agency, but the biggest thought was that the group couldn't afford them.
Hmm.
And how is this going to work financially? Those are the questions there. Would they be able to afford them? So that was the surprise. And I don't know where the Rockets sit after the trade in terms of the tax, but that was the challenge there. So the surprise was it wasn't a question of wanting the player, it
Hmm.
was the money, and what they bring to the table when you lose Dylan Brooks, you needed a guy who can defend, hit open shots, bring some size. Ime loves to switch a lot. Finney Smith is huge in terms of switching. He wants to get as many of those guys in the Finney Smith build as
Hmm.
possible. And with Clint Capella, uh, you had a group that really didn't have rim protection. You had to really guard the rim in Houston by committee. And Clint Capella is a guy who kind of helps fix your mistakes. And Clint had been kind of off and on as far as health wise. And I think with Steven Adams, Steven literally will play like every other game, depending. He's not playing any back to backs. There's a lot of open minutes there, but there's a lot of effective minutes when he plays. So Clint's actually perfect in the sense that probably not asking 82 out of Clint, but for productive minutes out of the five, that's excellent. And then Shingun showed, and it was reinforced by free agency, that he's extremely effective, and Houston has an extremely effective lineup when they go big. And I thought it was unlocked, this zone defense that you saw. And imagine playing that zone defense, played it against Steph Curry, a great shooter,
Mm.
playing that zone defense that kind of matches up in the regular season, and having Capella, and we don't have Capella, you have Adams behind you. So that's going to be an intriguing one, man. But I thought that it was more with Finney and Clint, a question of the money. And it was like, oh, Houston's hitting the goal, but that's what I saw. It wasn't just like, this could be competitive. Let's get better. Let's stay within the realm. It's the Houston, we have liftoff. That button was hit.
Ryan, double check on all your paychecks. They're not shaving some off the top here to take care of DFS and some of these other
Oh
guys, all
man.
right? Just
Oh,
double
listen, I
check,
hope
triple
not.
check. Yeah, just make sure all that, those checks are still coming in properly. It's funny. You and I, during the season, you were very, very confident. Lakers were about to play the Rockets, and we were kind of getting towards the end of the year. And you had your chest out, and you should, because Houston, the Rockets were obviously kind of in the process of making noise. And I picked the Rockets to beat I picked them to beat the Warriors in the first round in 7. Obviously, it went the other way. They make some moves in the offseason, but it's not like they were the only ones. If you look at just the Oklahoma City Thunder just coming back as is, having that championship under their belt, and what that's going to look like for a lot of these players getting more experience. I thought Denver got better. Certainly, I think that the Rockets got better as well. We were just talking about the Clippers and some of their additions. I'm assuming that that's a better team if they're healthy. I think the Lakers address needs that they really needed, and let's see what happens now with a proper center and obviously adding Marcus Smart. What does the West look like to you? Because it's so competitive and there's so many good teams. Kind of break down for me, if you don't mind, if you want to call it some tiers, if you want to. I think the best 3 teams in the Western Conference, in my opinion, I put Houston there, I put OKC there, I put Denver there. And then I think you could start making some cases after that. What do you make of the West and where some of these elite teams are?
It's intriguing. On top of already being competitive, you see Western Conference that got better. Shoot, look at San Antonio. They
Absolutely.
still have Castle. They bring in Harper, who's an absolute dog. You get Wemby, and gosh, I feel like they had another pickup in the offseason too. But at the end of the day, they got better. They got more competitive. I fully
I
agree
think
with you.
Was it Luke Kennard? Or I'm sorry, Luke Kennard. It was Cornette. I'm drawing a blank. I
feel
know
like
they signed in.
yeah, they gave
They
Cornette
signed
from
another big.
Boston.
Yeah, they signed another
Yeah.
big.
And that's big because he can block shots, guard the big, and then he can space the floor if Wemby's inside. So they get big. And Cornette was really big, especially when Boston played their large lineup. Now, I fully agree with you. Cam Johnson makes Denver better. They pushed OKC to 7 games. They are right there. Oklahoma City coming back, shoring up Chet Holmgren. I think they're as good as Chet is. I think he's the X factor that pushes them over the top, on top of already being good, where he continues to grow and develop. There's no question with Houston. Houston plays Oklahoma City extremely well, but Oklahoma City just got better, and it's really going to see how much better that Houston can be. And then you're right. You got Lakers, you got Clippers. It's tough because San Antonio's not a night off. The Texas Triangle, the Texas Swing is back. That's going to be tough. The Mavericks are good with Anthony Davis being healthy. They're absolutely loaded. They have a front line, and what you're starting to see is teams going and getting size. Being able to play with size. It was a huge difference with Houston competing against teams when they were bigger. They were beating teams up, beating teams up and defending. If you can guard the 3 and then you're big. And here's the thing: a lot of teams don't shoot the 3 extremely well, so I don't necessarily have to put out the smallest lineup possible to run you around the 3-point line if you don't have 4 to 5 3-point shooters that really stretch you out. Golden State's going to be competitive, but they'll be up and down. I expect them to have a losing streak and then kind of get hot. Like they'll be right there on that tier with Lakers, Clippers, Golden State. But like, dude, the ultimate thing is there's no off nights. You're looking around and you don't see these off nights. So I think intriguing, as competitive, as much parity as there was last year. I think the league got better. I mean, Phoenix obviously is going to take a step back, and they weren't good last season, but this is as thick as it comes. Portland's intriguing. I think they're kind of around the same spot. They still really committed to development, and I'm interested to see Lillard's signing. How does that affect Drew Holiday? Is he going to be looking to move? I know he wasn't happy about being there, but maybe there's something there that can kind of convince him to stay around a little bit. So those are my thoughts on the West. I think it's even more competitive, and I think that middle tier, those teams more so, it's question marks. I mean, look, Lakers were third in the West last season. Like, everybody's like, oh, the season just stunk. It was a wash, but they were third in the Western Conference. Like, that was a good group.
Yeah, and I think what shocked everybody just how quick they were out, right? Like it took away from their winning 50 games and putting themselves in a position where you can talk positive about them. And then before May 1st rolled around, they were already booking their vacation. It was like, all right, that's it. And by the way, we didn't even say of all the teams that you just mentioned, Minnesota,
Timberwolves.
and I'm not even 100% sure, I don't know what Memphis will be, but would you be shocked if Memphis has a decent regular season? Like
No,
I'm
I
not
don't think.
100%
I
sure.
think Memphis. I think Memphis and the Pels they're out of it. I think they're lower tier.
Well, and I think that just kind of points out that's the depth that you obviously go when you're talking about the Western Conference. Okay, two more quick ones for you. One of them with the Lakers. What do you make of Ayton? What do you make of Deandre Ayton? Just kind of, somebody that was in the league for a while, obviously a big as well. What are you hoping to see from him? And I guess my question is, if things are clicking for DeAndre Ayton this year, what is he for the Lakers?
He started at center on a group that went to the finals. He didn't play well. He wasn't mentally prepared to play against Nikola Jokic. I think people are holding that against him. He's still young. He has some mental lapses. I think he forgets how special, how talented he is. And I think the challenge with Aiton is to see if LeBron is going to take him and pull him by the side. If Luka's going to take him and embrace him, how well that he hit. I'm not even looking at on the court. I'm looking at off the court chemistry. I'm looking at body language, how well they embrace him, because he's really the key to them being good. And when he rim runs and catches lobs, he truly excels. And he made Phoenix special. I was surprised whatever happened, the way that Phoenix, kind of turned, uh, they kind of just washed their hands of him. So I think it's a redemption story. He's an LA kid. He's going to be ecstatic to be back home. And I don't think I write Aiden off. And you got to understand the price tag that you got him for. That is ridiculous for a guy that young. So he has a chance to come out and prove himself, and he's going to be the special part of this season. And how well that he meshes in with what LA is trying to do.
So you mentioned off the court what it looks like. How about on the court when he's playing with Luka or he's playing with LeBron? Like, how can he? And you know this better than anybody else, because I think obviously we were all watching it. Lakers had such a hole last season because they just didn't have enough size. How can he? I'm not telling you it's all going to be on his shoulders and on his back, but they got a big now. They didn't have a big before, and like you said, to get him at that price tag, just 26 years old, the upside, everything else that comes with it. What do players like Luka and LeBron unlock for him on the actual floor?
Well, if they can get him easy buckets at the rim, his confidence is going to continue to grow and excel. And I've been watching Aiton since he was in high school, man. And for him, he was a three. He was a wing. He was a guy who ran the wings. That's how talented he was, and the footwork that he has. So he can go out and switch 1 through 5. He brings a lot to the table. He's got a soft touch inside. So I think the more that they can feed him, get him going, I think that changes the dynamic on the floor. And again, he's got a soft touch. I think he's got to stay in attack mode. You got to get him early buckets, and for him, it's confidence. He can do everything that you need from a big. That's not a question there.
All right, final one. KD ends up with the Houston Rockets. It's funny. I think he's going to kill it in Houston, and whatever that description may be. But the example that I like giving is KD can now just be Kevin Durant. They're not going to ask him to do anything other than just be him, and they need him to just be him. So that's a great spot for him to be in. I'm a big fan of Ime Udoka. I'm a big fan of kind of what the Rockets are building over there. there's also people that say, well, KD is about to be 37, and look, he hasn't really had success at his last couple of stops. What's your thought on how KD fits in with the Rockets?
It fits in perfect because it's not Phoenix and it's not Brooklyn. The reason I say that is because you're asking for a little point forward out of him. You're putting so much on his shoulders. And now in Houston, you already have a culture built that plays defense, that rebounds, that's young, wants to get out and push tempo, Udoka with the defense. So now you're saying, Katie, come in and score the basketball. You're not really asking him to build culture. You're not asking him to, play point forward, like he did a lot of in Phoenix. You got Fred VanVleet, who's going to lead the show. And you got Alperen Şengün, who takes a double team on the block. So now you're saying, Kevin Durant, you got your one-on-one, go score the basketball. And I think those are exciting words to Kevin Durant, and I think to the NBA. And even, hey, if he needs some rest, you got a young Amin Thompson, you got Alperen Şengün, you got guys who can, Jabari Smith Jr., you got guys, Tari Eason, you got guys who can, kind of manufacture wins, and we're able to do it, and kind of showed a lot of that last season. So I'm excited to see what Kevin Durant brings to the table. He's a guy who already was kind of integrated in with our young guys a little bit. He'd bring them in and invite them to workouts last season and work out with him, and I thought that was absolutely great for him to do. And now he gets to continue that mentorship actually in the locker room.
All right, you taking time off, and what is Ryan Hollins in the offseason? Like, why do I feel like you're at the gym at 6 a.m. in the morning, and I feel like you're rebroadcasting games at 10 a.m. Why do I feel like you're working all the time?
You know what, man? I'm that's kind of what I do, man. I'm in the gym. I got the kids in the gym. I'm working out. I feel
Awesome.
like it's harder work running around with my kids than actually doing the NBA, man. This is it's taxing. It's a day-to-day grind, So I'm at it. I'm working. I'm down 15 pounds, man. There you go. I'm
Look
sure
at
you'll like
Ryan.
that, man.
You're the man, brother. Well, listen, I hope the offseason goes well. Appreciate your time as always and your insight. And then we'll chat with you as we get closer to the season.
All right, brother. We'll talk soon.
Thank you. All right. That is Ryan Hollins right there. Good stuff, man. Good dude right there, Mr. Ryan Hollins. Like his perspective. I needed his perspective. I wanted the Ayton perspective. I wanted the Marcus Smart perspective. And certainly wanted to, get his opinion. You got the NBA that's doing what they're doing. I've seen a lot of people that have talked a little bit about Kevin Durant. They're like, Kevin Durant's washed this. I'm like, I think KD's going to work pretty damn good in Houston just because everything else is already established. All right, we got a lot of comments. We got a lot of people that want to chime in on the show. We're going to get to all of that. Just relax here for a quick second. Let's take our time. It's Monday. We're slowly working our way back from the weekend. Shout out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. So kind of a quick funny story. On Saturday afternoon, driving around, handling a couple things, blah, blah, blah. Get a text. Who do I get a text from? Brad Wallace. This is 95% of my texts from Brad have nothing to do with business. It's a link to Marcus Smart signing with the Lakers. Obviously, he's a big Laker fan. He's a big supporter of the channel, so I'm very grateful of him to come in and be a part of what we're trying to build here with the channel. He's an injury attorney. If you or family member, serious injury, wrongful death case, I hope you guys are never in this situation or predicament, but things happen in life. And if you're in the state of California and you need some type of representation, or maybe just you don't even know where the hell to start, go to the website we created, the URL, wallacewins.com/Sliwa, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. And go to that website, get a free consultation, let him try to guide you and his team to try to guide you of just kind of the right direction to go in. I've said this before, and I could give, personal examples of what he's done for some of his clients. Just a couple of months ago now, a $4.6 million jury verdict awarded to his client, and Brad Willis definitely goes up against it doesn't matter the size of the company. Him and his team are ready to go. They're based out in Encino. You guys have seen me do a couple of podcasts already from there. So shout out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace team. Again, if you're ever in a situation where you need some type of representation, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. If anyone wants to send me a personal email, hey, Al, I know you always talk about Brad Wallace. Can you make a personal introduction? The answer is yes. I can. So thank you to Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. Appreciate their partnership on the channel and on the show here. Okay. I got to talk about Luka recruiting Marcus Smart, and then there's a couple other things I want to get into as well. Let's take a look at some of the comments. I haven't even taken a look here. Let's see what we got here. Porky, Zoo, Harden, Claw, Collins, and Beal start. Okay, so there's your starting five. I do agree. I think Beal is in that starting lineup. CP3, Brook, and Beal run the second unit. No, I think Beal's in the starting lineup. And the Clippers drafted extremely good. Can't wait for this upcoming season. Got a Clipper fan here. Have a great day, Slee. I appreciate you coming on, Porky. Thank you for the 10th spot. I greatly appreciate it. I've said this before. Obviously, I'm always going to have a large amount of Laker fans that are on here. It's how the channel really has been built, and that's the foundation of the channel. But I encourage anybody who's a basketball fan or an NBA fan, you want to chime in, chime in. I enjoy talking NBA, and certainly I don't shy away from doing that on the channel. Here's a problem with all these names that we got here for the Clippers. It's just the age part. It's the age portion with the Clippers that I think is, let's put it this way. Would you guys be shocked that by the time you get to the first or second round of the playoffs, some of these guys aren't healthy? They're just going to have to be very strategic. Let's put it that way. And they're going to need some luck to go on their side. But on paper, yeah, it's a pretty damn good roster. On paper, it's a very, very good roster. And I kind of like the John Collins, Ivica Zubac. I kind of like Brook Lopez is older, but he's still very, very productive in making it happen. He's not technically a banger, so he's got the ability to step out a little bit. He doesn't have to be in the paint the entire time. But we'll see. Harden, healthy. Beal, will he be healthy? Kawhi, will he be healthy? There's still a lot of question marks that are up there. Porky, thank you again for the super, brother. I appreciate it. Let's get some more comments in here, and then I want to talk Luka. Let's see what we got here. Last year, AR, Luka, Rui, LeBron. After one long summer, we have AR, Luka, Rui, LeBron. Take me soon. If you guys don't think the Lakers got better in the offseason, I don't really know what to tell you guys. They got better. Lakers got better this offseason. They did. Deandre Ayton, we know. Obviously Ayton is a player that the Lakers desperately needed, and I'm a fan of Marcus Smart. I'm definitely a fan of Marcus Smart and what I think he's going to bring to the table. Now, he's got to be healthy. He's just got to be healthy. That's it. KD's one weakness, not a leader. Won't work. I'm going to go back to one of the points that I was making earlier. By the way, I appreciate, during the show, Ryan's doing his thing and all the comments that are going on. A lot of times I kind of stay away from reading the comments just so I could kind of focus on the interview, but I know there was a lot of people chiming in. The one thing I will say about KD, and I'm going to get to Luka here in a second, the one thing I will say about him, he doesn't have to be anything other than what he is. And even if he doesn't want to go over there and be the leader, he doesn't even technically need to be that. Let your head coach be that. Let Fred VanVleet be that. There's other players there that can do that. Durant ain't winning a chip unless he's in a Warriors jersey. Next topic, please. Yeah, that's why I threw the question, to be honest with you, because I think a lot of people are not all that crazy about Kevin Durant at this stage of his career, or at least aren't that crazy from that perspective. Okay, I'm going to play you guys a quick video, and then I want to talk Luka. So there was a video that came out over the weekend, and this was specifically a one-on-one. The Lakers put this out there, a one-on-one with Luka, having a conversation, his history, his competition, competitive spirit, all that. There was a piece of this that I think is important to point out, which is just another indication that Luka ain't going anywhere. So let me do that in just 1 second. But take a quick listen to a question that's proposed for Luka and then how he answers it. Take a listen.
As a Laker, what do you hope to be known for in Los Angeles?
The guy that brought championships to the city, for sure.
All right, I only played the end of that for a reason. Obviously, pretty cool video. Pretty cool video. The whole thing's about maybe 4 or 5 minutes, something along those lines. I just wanted to play the absolute end of that. Great production. It's something that the Lakers always do. That that kind of comes with it. What do you want to be known for in Los Angeles? Of course, to bring championships to the Lakers. I mean, that's think of some of this guy's responses over the last month or so. New ownership group takes over. He sends out the tweet and basically is wishing there. I'm excited to still work with Jeannie. I'm excited to still work with the new ownership coming in and to win championships. I know Luka has not signed his extension, nor has he had the opportunity to, because the earliest he can sign his extension is on August 2nd. What I will tell everybody is just go ahead and read the room. Do not be worried about Luka not signing with the Lakers. Every opportunity he's had to give an indication of, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not trying to go anywhere. It's going to be up to the Lakers and their front office to prove to him over the next few years that he's got a legitimate chance of winning an NBA championship. That's going to be on their front office. And maybe Luka, maybe he doesn't play his entire career as a Laker moving forward. Maybe he's here for 3 years and then decides, all right, I can't win here. I'm having some trouble. This isn't what I thought, and decides to leave. But I think in the short term of just thinking about the August 2nd date that we've all had in mind, the August 2nd date, the number one priority for the Lakers this offseason was what? Everybody would say, well, it's signing Luka. I don't think that's something where if you're a Laker fan out there, you have to really necessarily lose some sleep over. Every indication is it's going to happen. Then he's recording this video. What do you want to be known for in LA? Winning championships. I mentioned the tweet that he had for new ownership. Here's another, I think, piece of the pie that I think is really, really important as well. Part of the stories this weekend was not just, it wasn't just the Lakers signed Marcus Smart, or they had to make room, so they got rid of Shake Milton and they got rid of Jordan Goodwin. Those were not, in my opinion, those were part of the stories this weekend. But I think something that was swept a little bit under the rug, or maybe wasn't made as big of a deal as it should have. Mark Stein put this out, and so did Shams when the initial news came out about Marcus Smart. Here's what Mark Stein wrote when the news came out. Lakers star Luka Doncic made a direct recruiting pitch to Marcus Smart that resonated with the veteran guard, league sources tell the Stein line. Just that part is the only thing that I want you guys to pay attention for. Luka made a direct recruiting pitch to go get Marcus Smart. Let's put all the pieces together. So far, this is the pieces that we have in regards to Luka. The pieces that we have is every indication is telling you he's probably going to re-sign with the Lakers. And then you got this latest one that is, he was also recruiting Marcus Smart. Can I tell you, do you know how important this next chapter is going to be for the Lakers, especially to have Luka Doncic completely on board, especially to have Luka saying, how can I help? What do you guys need me to do? Hey, listen, if Luka wants to become a Laker legend, it is going to have to be with a championship or two under your belt. That just comes with the territory. That's kind of how it works with the Lakers in this brand. How can he help himself? Well, one of the ways he can help himself is, how can I go get players that maybe Marcus Smart has 5 different suitors that want his services, but if I could lob a call, or I can have some type of a conversation with Marcus Smart and tell him that, no, come to LA. Let me show you that this is the right place to be. This is the right brand to be. Play with me for a year, and let me just show you that we can make this thing work together. And maybe that's Deandre Ayton, I'm sure, who shares the same agent as Luka. I'm sure Ayton, whether direct conversations with Luka Doncic or indirectly, Ayton's got to be saying to himself, here I am trying to resurrect my career as a big. I don't want to play with Luka Doncic. Luka has started that recruiting process. Luka has started remember in the past, it was with Anthony Davis, we'd have the conversation. Does he want the keys? Does he not want the keys? Does he want to sit in the driver's seat? Does he want to sit in the passenger seat? Sometimes he wants to sit in the back seat. I don't know where AD wants to sit sometimes. That's not Luka. No, Luka's, he's rolling in the driver's seat. You're going to go rent a car. Luka's like, yeah, we're putting the car under my name. Yeah, but nobody else can drive. Yes, I'm aware of that. Here's my ID. Here's my credit card. Give me the damn keys and let me go do what I do. That's all Luka understands. That's all Luka can comprehend. I just think that if you start reading some of the insights to what's happened over the last 30 days, I think that tells you where Luka is and what he wants, understands that, with the Lakers. And maybe this has to do with some of his European roots. He was talking about how in that video, he loved soccer, right? Watching Cristiano Ronaldo. Yeah, these legends are legends because they won. They're not legends because, well, they were really good and they bounced around from a couple of teams and that was it. He understands the franchise that he's joining, and I just think it's really, really good news that he's part of the recruiting pitch, that he's part of the recruiting process, because I think that shows that he's going to have a future for the Lakers for years to come. So that part I think is great as well. All right, let's take a look at some of your comments. What is everybody talking about here? HH, you're the man, HH. Thank you, brother. I appreciate the super there. Thank you to everybody, by the way. Whether you're sending a super or you're not sending a super, I appreciate you guys. I just appreciate the supers a little bit more than the other ones that aren't supers. That's all I'm saying. I can be bought. My love can be bought. No, I appreciate everybody. HH, thank you, brother. I appreciate you. Porky, thank you for the super earlier. Michael, brother, I'm convinced fans don't care about value. Ayton is smart for $14 million when they trade $50 last year. Jake's a good player too. Hats off to Rob. I got to do this. I got to spend. I've had enough things happen over the last, let's call it, couple of weeks, where people are either complimenting Rob Pelinka or they're saying basically, when's Pelinka gone? That I think deserves its own conversation. We'll do something on Pelinka here pretty soon. Well, let me kind of game plan that. But Michael, obviously a fan of what Pelinka has done so far this offseason. I tried mentioning it on Saturday when I was doing the show that I think he's got a tremendous amount of value in the offseason. Something to keep in mind here, and I think it's going to be eventually going to be a big conversation, is the offseason doesn't have to stop here for the Lakers. I mean, it doesn't. They can still go out there, and I hope they keep their first rounder. I hope the Lakers put themselves in a position where they stop shipping out these first rounders, but they got some expiring contracts still. They got kind of a younger piece that I think is an interesting piece in Dalton Connect, and maybe Connect doesn't work with the Lakers, but it doesn't mean he can't work somewhere else. They don't have to be done here. I think the beauty for the Lakers is they didn't go out there and get Ayton, or they didn't go out there and get Marcus Smart, and they had to give up Rui, a first rounder, and Connect in multiple moves, and they're out of assets. They have the same amount of assets they had before the offseason started. So I think that in itself is something that you should give some credit to Rob Pelinka for. So hopefully that, you guys obviously understand where I'm coming from that perspective. Lexus Santa Monica. There are a couple angles I got here real quick. If you're in the market for a car, you have a lease right now that you want to get the heck out of, or your lease is about to end, or you've had a car for a while and it's time to buy a new car. LexusSantaMonica.com. You don't even have to go to the website. Don't even go to the website. Go to, get this here, just email the general manager / owner directly, Matthew Unger at lacarguy.com. Just email him directly. Just say, hey, I was listening to Al. I know he's got a 10-year relationship with you. I know he bought his car from Lexus Santa Monica. He speaks very highly of the brand and Lexus Santa Monica. Can you help me out? And he'll help you out. Send the GM / owner an email directly. You want to CC me on it? You can CC me on it as well. He can help anybody out. I've been telling people why Lexus is kind of a no-brainer. They're reliable. They're dependable. I have 180,000 miles on my Lexus. I've been driving Lexus for 15 years. And trust me, I'm not one of those people that are getting a new car every couple of years. Everybody's got different game plans. That's mine. I try to be very smart with my money. And one way of being smart, I know the moment you buy a car, it's going to depreciate in value. So you know what I try to do? Buy a car that has value. Lexus falls under that brand. It says it's obviously within the Toyota family. You can drive these cars forever. The luxury feel of a Lexus inside of it as well. You can make the dollars make sense. But there's only one way to start. It's either going to LexusSantaMonica.com or it's emailing Matt Unger and emailing him directly and just tell him, hey, I'm ready. I'm in the market for a car. It doesn't matter where you are as well. He's got contacts with everybody. Even if you didn't want to go Lexus, I would tell you should go Lexus. But even if you didn't want to go Lexus, he could put you in touch with somebody that can help you out. They got a pre-owned lot across the street. That's where I got my Lexus from. These are cars that come back from a lease, about 3 years old, and just a great value, incredible value, like I mentioned. And it's just it's a smart purchase. So, on top of giving you guys Lakers content, I'm now a financial advisor. I'm now telling everybody how to spend their money. All right. I got to do everything around here. All right. Don't ever take my tips on stocks and trades and things along those lines. Don't ever do that. But if you need a car, Lexus Santa Monica. All right, let's take a look at a couple more comments here. And then I got a couple NBA stories I'm going to get into, a couple NBA rumors. Shout out to everybody hanging out. Please subscribe to the channel. Would greatly appreciate that. Closing in, by the way. We're getting very, very, very close to 33,000 subscribers. So if you guys can help get us there, would greatly appreciate it. All right, so I did mention to everybody I am in Vegas. Slee, what's your game choice in Vegas? You know what I like? I like playing poker. I mean, if I'm going to play anything, I like playing poker. Maybe I'll do a little poker tonight. By the way, schedule for the week, just so you guys know, no show on Wednesday. No show Wednesday, back Thursday and Friday. So I'll do a show tomorrow, and then we'll take Wednesday. No go on Wednesday. So poker is what I like playing. All right, a couple other quick NBA stories I'm going to get into real quick. Dorian Finney-Smith, I'm just going to do this one real quick. We talked a little bit about it with Ryan Hollins. That's another reason why I wanted to get Ryan on, just to Dorian Finney-Smith. Dorian Finney-Smith signed a $53 million contract with the Houston Rockets. Lakers obviously lost him in the offseason. He had an interesting quote. He was on a podcast, and here's what he said. First, what he was mentioning was it was Sports Rap Sit Downs was the show on YouTube. He was talking about how when he ended up signing with Houston, Luka texted him, basically said, I'm happy for you. I'm proud of you. I know you're excited to be back with your kids and family. Things like that show me that he cared. That's what Dorian Finney-Smith said about Luka. And then he said this. Here's what he said. He said, to be honest, I thought I was going to finish my career with Luka in LA. But like I said, things happened. We were excited, happy to get him back. Also sad that everything that just happened, just the whole emotional thing, the bad talk about his weight and just all that. I guess this was him coming back from Dallas because I knew who he is as a person. But he thought he was going to finish his career with Luka in LA. He's 32 years old. I got to be honest, I'm not sure what happened there too. I was surprised that Dorian Finney-Smith, it sounded like he wanted to be there. He was a little vague in some of his response. Sounded like he wanted to be a Los Angeles Laker as well. But it didn't happen, and that's the first time we're hearing from Dorian Finney-Smith. So take it for what it is, but that's a little bit of information I saw over the weekend that I wanted to put in the chat as well and make sure that I had that in there. Let's see what we got here. Caesars. I'm at Caesars. The Harris Caesars family. Maybe some partnerships. We're working behind the scenes, guys. Working behind the scenes. Okay, let me get the weekend recap going here. I got a few different stories that I want to hit on from over the weekend, and then we're going to call it a day. I'll read some of your comments as well. We'll keep going on some of the comments. All right. Going to the Sphere later today. They do like I don't know, there's like some kind of movie that you can watch there or something along those lines. I feel like I gotta do the Sphere when I'm out here. So I'm gonna be going to a viewing or a screening or whatever it is a little bit later today. So that should be kind of cool. Got to see that thing. I still don't think I've seen it. I think I've like barely seen it through buildings, but I've not been in there or anything. So I'm going to go check it out. Okay, a couple stories around the NBA over the weekend. Let's do our weekend recap here real quick. Of course, our weekend recap is presented by the Wallace firm, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. wallacewins.com/Sliwa. Injury attorney, can help anybody in the state of California. wallacewins.com/Sliwa. I saw this story. Somebody want to help me understand this one? I'm not sure if he's bringing the same comp to this. Draymond Green, here's what he wrote. He said, I find it very interesting that players get bashed for load management, but rookies get shut down during summer league these days. Fascinating, huh? Okay. So, all right. Trying to understand what he was talking about. Maybe he's talking about Cooper Flagg, who got shut down for the rest of the summer league. I read this thing a couple times, and I was trying to figure out. Let me play this real quick with what Draymond Green's saying. Draymond Green, I think, is trying to make the comp of, well, you guys demolish all the players during the regular season for load management, but Cooper Flagg gets shut down or another youngster gets shut down in summer league, and that's okay. Okay, if he wants to make a case that a lot of these youngsters should be playing, that's fine. I'm okay with that. I mean, if he wants to say, like, why are you guys shutting it down? People are really looking forward to the summer league, and then you're shutting this player down for the entire time. If what he's trying to say is we should have these players playing more, that's fine. You can make a case for that, and I'm willing to listen. I would have loved to see Cooper Flagg play 4 or 5 games in the summer league. So I can accept his theory on that one. But is Draymond Green comparing the regular season to the summer league? I mean, I think that would be more my question. My question is, do players get upset for the regular season? Oh, I'm sorry, do fans get upset and TV networks get upset because during the regular season there's a big nationally televised game and one of the main players isn't playing or a couple of the main players aren't playing? Isn't there a pretty big difference between the regular season and summer league? I don't know. I don't really understand the comp. Now, if you want to make the case, like I said, that, hey, I want guys to play in the summer league, okay, I'm all in to listen. But to say, well, why are we trashing guys during the regular season for load management? We're not doing the same in July summer league. I don't really know if I understand the comp in that one. I'm okay with, hey, let's have everybody play, but I'm not really understanding how that's a comp there, how that's the same thing. So that one was a little bit difficult to understand. Couple rumors around the NBA. By the way, I don't know if you guys saw yesterday. So Hornets obviously win the summer league. Yeah, I don't, kind of cool. Them and Sacramento were in it together, but I don't think anybody's gonna. Let's just say I don't know how many people are going to remember that they won. So we'll just kind of keep that one in mind, but give them credit. Couple other things here around the NBA. The Suns have interest in Golden State Warriors forward Jonathan Kuminga, league sources confirmed to the Republic, but are unlikely to land him because they lack the draft capital and assets to deliver what would be a sign and trade for the Warriors. Can the Warriors just pay this guy something? Or, you know what? If I'm Jonathan Kuminga, screw it. I'm taking my final year. I'm becoming an unrestricted free agent next year, and I'm going to go take my chances around the league. All right. Here's another one that I'm actually just reading this as we go. So I'm going to just read it as we go here. I got Hoops Hype open, and I got some of the rumors here. I had a couple other ones. I know that, let's see, what was the Ben Simmons. I saw, who was it that had, I think it was the Suns that had interest in Ben Simmons. Let me just double check to make sure. I was looking at this this morning. Yep, Ben Simmons on the Suns' radar. The only other thing that I see here in the NBA that's probably worth noting, and this one looks like it's a little Lakers-centric here, multiple sources. This is Fast Break Journal. That Holiday is a name to monitor, particularly as a potential target for the Lakers. I'm going to save that one on for tomorrow, and I'll save it just to make sure that there's some real meat behind that. It also says that expanding a trade to include Robert Williams III. So let's wait on that. We'll do it tomorrow. I'm not going to rush to it, and I want to see if there's maybe some more momentum towards that or some more conversation for that before I start reporting anything. Not reporting anything, but obviously having an opinion on anything. Last thing I'm going to mention here, and then we're going to call it a day. If you're a big baseball fan, obviously part of the weekend recap, just what went on over the weekend. Things getting a little bit tight. If you look at the NL, not even just the NL West, I know I usually focus on the NL or the NL West. Damn, the freaking National League. How many good teams are there? The Cubbies, the Brewers, the Dodgers. Brewers just swept the Dodgers. That kind of came out of nowhere. They've won 10 games in a row. Philly is 13 games over 500. Mets are 12 games over. Padres are holding on to the final wild card spot. They're 9 games over 500. So just got a lot of really, really good teams in the National League. To get out of the NL, that ain't going to be easy. Let's put it that way. Okay, a couple comments, and then we're all done for the day. Then I got to get the hell out of here. Okay? I got my cabana waiting for me downstairs. I'm joking. All right. You imagine me in a cabana? First thing I do when the show's over, I take my shirt off and I start walking down playing roulette. All right. Let's see what we got here. My Boston bud loves smart, but in big games, he starts thinking like he's Steph, then shoots 1 of 9 from the 3-point. Get the ball out of his hands. Put the ball in Luka's hands then, if that's the case, and go from there. Interesting. Yeah, there's a couple of people. By the way, I've seen some of those playoff games where he played a little hero ball, but I don't think you're gonna have to worry about that with the Lakers. I think he's gonna have a really, really specific role with the Lakers. Slee, isn't it too early to be hit? Never too early. Never too early. All right, my people. I appreciate it. Fun show today. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for hanging out. Like I said, really great views in the offseason. And I love how people are coming on here just to get their Laker content, NBA content. It means a lot to me. So thank you, sir, very much for doing so. Shout out to Ryan Hollins for being a part of the show. Shout out to Lexus Santa Monica. Thank you, of course, to Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. And I appreciate everybody here on the chat. Please subscribe to the channel. If you've yet to subscribe to the channel, I'll be back tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Thank you, everybody. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And I'll see you tomorrow morning.